So welcome to New Solutions for Eliminating Interference. I'm Jane Fox. If somebody dragged you here, said you got to watch this and you have no clue, I'm Jane Fox. I'm a consciousness accelerator. What that means to me is I support people to become more aware, but I do that dramatically and quickly. I'm not big for taking the slow path. I'm always looking for what's the quickest way from getting from here to there. And I'm really good at helping people to find what's their shortcut. And what's typically in the way for people is a topic that I call interference. And until recently, I've understood interference, who they are vaguely, what they're doing very concretely understood, and we learned how to banish them, which is kind of like when you have ants wandering into your kitchen. It's like, okay, you're out. you get the couple ants that wander into your kitchen, but you know there's a whole nest somewhere, and that queen is just could easily send another 100 more. That was kind of the paradigm, and it wasn't fun, but it's the best we had at the time. But within the last 6 or 8 months, we've developed finally a breakthrough that allows us to actually clear all interference and permanently. And this whole interference thing, people are often like, oh, I don't have any interference in my life. I'm just making a lot of stupid mistakes and I'm just off path and I'm not doing the right thing, and I keep getting in my own way and I keep procrastinating. And I'm going to argue all that crap is interference. So what if you were left alone and were not manipulated in any way, would just go bam, 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 and you would become aware very easily and very naturally. To me, interference are those energies that are seeking to deliberately prevent awareness. They're deliberately trying to stop awareness seekers and spiritual people from actually finding the truth of who they are and stepping into their magic and stepping into their potency. These energies that I generically call interference, that I'm going to now segue into what I call egregore, are these variety of energies that many of us have had since our bodies were born. I know I've always had demonic, nasty, yucky, heavy stuff in and out of my life. And I could make it sort of go away temporarily, but I couldn't totally get rid of it until about 6 months ago when we kind of figured all this stuff out. And then it's just poof, gone, quiet. So the interference that I used to have to clear once or twice a day when I was in a good space, just gone. There's just nothing to clear. It's just quiet. This is just me doing me. And I don't have all this resistance that I have to work through. And life is just easy. It's like, oh, it's a dramatic difference to not have interference messing with you. And I want to say that people who are not yet aware of interference, they think that they're just screwing up their own life. I've come to this realization after watching hundreds, thousands of people and danced around this topic of interference, is if you are putting yourself down, if you're making yourself wrong, if you think that you're less than, that's the presence of interference. You don't inherently, and your body doesn't inherently do that. That's not natural state to make yourself wrong, put yourself down. That's interference's presence in your life. So it's kind of like when you're by yourself, you're like, yeah, I love my life. I'm an awesome person, and I'm going to do some really cool shit while I'm here on this planet. That's you left alone. That's what that feels like. When interference is in your world, you're like, I really suck. I can't do anything right. I did all this bad stuff in my past and I feel really guilty about it. And I feel really wrong. And no matter what I do, I can't get it right. And nothing goes right. All those energies are evidence of egregore or of interference in your world. It's not you that is innate wrongness. It's interference that is the energy of innate wrongness. You're feeling that is evidence that they're in your world messing around, but they hide and they pretend to be you. So you think, oh, it's me blocking myself. It's not you blocking you. It's what I'm going to now start calling egregore that are blocking you. And so I want to, having finally found a solution after 15 years of struggling with this, I'm so excited about, like, wow, what it's done for the people who've used this process, just like mind-blowing, because you just get space just to be you, which may sound insignificant, but you're no longer putting yourself down, you're no longer making yourself wrong, you're just here and things are just easy again. It's a world of difference. So that's the reason I'm excited to share this. So what are egregore, and why don't they want you to become powerful or aware? And I want to, so egregore is this thing that I used to keep focusing on gifts and abilities and magic. And I started to walk people. I have a capacity to show people what their gifts and capacities are. But as I started to do that, I found that interference would just jump up and block it. And I'm like, what is that? And people always think that they're trying to stop them from seeing their gifts and abilities. It's interference stopping you from your gifts and abilities. And I recognize that if I need to address that first, or we can't get anywhere. Like, you go directly poking around your gifts and abilities, and interference like tackles you like a pylon. They're like, no, and they're going to do everything they can to distract you from going there. They do not want you to use your gifts and abilities. They do not want you to perceive them or perceive the interference in this reality. So it's been a process of how do we do that? And now we finally have a new tool, a shortcut for getting there. So what is an egregore? Egregore is actually an esoteric alchemical phrase that comes from French egregore, meaning spirit of a group. It's the concept of, two or more gathered there. It generates an energy field. That energy field, when enough belief and focus and thought are piled into that energy field becomes a thing. It's not physical, it's an energetic thing. It becomes like a baby little spirit, if you will, that if given enough energy, it actually becomes an autonomous spirit that does its thing based on what it was programmed or told that it is. So if you have a group of people and they all get together and they create this focus around something that and everybody puts energy towards that something that's developed is is an egregore. It's a thought form. It's a collection of thought energies, which are creative. Thought is creative, but it takes a fair amount of it to create an autonomous entity. And that's what egregores are. There's these autonomous entities. And I'm going to explain this through examples rather than trying to kind of go mental with it. Is Santa Claus is an egregore, but Santa Claus is not an egregore that we're worried about. I'm going to use it as an example because it's not charged and you can see it more clearly. So Santa Claus originally started over 4,000 years ago with this guy, the picture here on the bottom left of, and it was from church, St. Nicholas, and he apparently was giving stuff away and he was very generous with people and he got a name for himself. And so St. Nicholas became a thing. And then later they merged it with some pagan stuff, and then later they merged that with some English rituals around Father Christmas. And before you know it, you had this guy dressed in green who was Santa Claus. Actually, he wasn't Santa Claus back then. He was Father Christmas back then. And then it shifted over to America in the late 1700s. And in America, they took the Dutch Sinterklaas and called it Santa Claus. They kind of westernized it and changed him to a red suit to be different. And all of a sudden, ta-da, we have Santa Claus. So Santa Claus is actually after the concept of a person, the rough concept. The guy didn't deliver gifts to kids. He was more about helping people who were poor. But all these concepts merged together, and people created this notion or this thing of Santa Claus. So now so Santa Claus is an egregore. It's now a physical energy that so many people have put focus and attention on that it's literally a spirit of itself. It's an entity. Actually, it's many of them, because every different variety that you have is a different one often. So there are many different egregores that are Santa Clauses. And the confusing part becomes, so does Santa Claus actually exist? Well, what do you think? Does it exist? And you could go, well, no, of course it doesn't exist. Santa Claus is not real. But Santa Claus is an entity. It is a spirit of itself. And many people put energy towards it and belief towards it and lie to their kids about it on a regular basis when they're young, for some weird reason I never understood. It's like Santa Claus does actually exist, but it exists as a spirit, as an egregore, as a thought form, as a form that's been programmed by creator humans to have this certain characteristics. So yes and no, it does exist as a simple egregore, but it's the thing about it is, what does this egregore do? And so if we look at this egregore, Santa Claus, tracks kids who've been naughty or nice, okay, delivers presents to good kids, and is allowed to come down your chimney one day a year with gifts or coal, I guess. So it's like, so picture this entity, that's its programming. That's what it's allowed to do. That's its job. That's what its purpose in life is, if you will. So this spirit was created by humans and programmed with those concepts, and you got to wear red, and you got to be jolly, and you got to ho. Like those are all things programmed into the egregore of Santa Claus. So while Santa Claus is a thought form and it is an egregore, it probably doesn't mess with you because it's not programmed to do that. That's not its job. Its job is just to monitor kids, and especially around Christmas, and know who's naughty and nice, and pretend to deliver gifts, right? Like it doesn't actually do that, but it knows that, but it can pretend, and it has access to go down your chimney. It was given access like that one day a year. Okay, so it's like, that's Santa Claus, and that's sticky. It's persistent. Thoughts are creative and they're persistent, and they group together, they clump together. So all these people focusing on Santa Claus have created this thought form that does that. Okay, and so that alone, not a big deal. But now let's look at something that is a big deal, and that's a god. Okay, so gods are also egregores. That's the short answer, and I'll show you how all that happens. So if you think about gods, what is especially in the common, this is mostly in the Christian, it's not all Christian. The hint, the Islam also has similar kind of stuff, but so look at how gods were programmed. So all these people got together and said, there is a creator, and we're going to call this creator God. And here's what it can do. It's all powerful. It's all knowing. It's infinite and omnipresent. It exists everywhere. And, oh, by the way, it's vengeful, wrathful, and jealous. Great. Okay. It's immutable. It's unchanging. So you can't change it. It's wise, just, and perfect. And it always, from its point of view, has the right actions. That's like, it's just always right. So you're creating an all-knowing, all-powerful, infinite, omnipresent, vengeful, wrathful, jealous, unchanging God that always thinks it's right about everything, whether it is or not. Not a great start. But then we give it the ability to judge and punish those who don't conform. Ooh, so it has authority to use violence or threaten. It can send you to hell. Actually, I think what it does is it creates a living hell here in your world. It doesn't send you anywhere. It does that here. And it pretends to be, or it's loving and merciful if you conform. So if you're a good boy and girl and you do what God tells you to do, good luck with that, then it'll leave you alone. It won't be nasty with you because you're doing what it wants, and then it might be its version of loving and merciful, which has all this other weird stuff mixed into it. But if you don't conform, then it has not only the right, it has the job, the duty to make you conform, to do whatever it takes, including interfere in your life, to create a hell in your world, to punish you, to judge you, until you do conform. So humans created this egregore, like Santa Claus, but people don't inherently put a lot of energy towards Santa Claus. There aren't religions that have you pray to Santa Claus 5 times a day, right? But there are religions that have you put energy towards God 5 times a day. And you have to do this and you have to do that and you have to dedicate your life to this. So that you're making all these compromises and you're putting all this energy towards this entity that is all-knowing, all-powerful, vengeful, wrathful, immutable, judges and punishes and can send you to hell. Great. What could go wrong, right? Then on top of that, within that paradigm, there are angels and demons, and they're contrary to what the God will tell you. The demons work for the gods as the angels work for the gods, and they're kind of like good cop, bad cop. So the angels are going to reward you if you conform, if you do what that God wants you to do, and the demons are going to punish you if you don't conform. So it's like the carrot and the stick. It's a control methodology to keep you in line. And if you've ever studied religions, you just kind of glance at the Old Testament, the Christian Old Testament, you're like, oh, what is all this stuff? There's like just all these rules about you live like this, you live like that, you live like this. It's like, well, what is that? Why is all that the way that is? And for decades, I've been asking that question. It wasn't until recently that it actually started to make sense. And I want to share that with you. But here's how this works. So somebody creates this thought form. We want a God. We want to know a creator. We're living in this world where there's no known creator. Like nobody steps forward and says, I created this, because it's not a single creator. It's a co-creative world. There is no way to get a single creator in a co-creative world. We're all creators. All of us creator beings are in some way co-creative in this reality. We are the creators of this reality, but it's gotten a little corrupted, just a little bit. And here, to me, is one of the huge chunks of it. So people create this God wanting to know a creator or wanting something else. And I'll tell you what I think that something else is down below. And they put energy towards it. They pray to it. They give this God these qualities. Here, you're all knowing, you're all powerful. You can see everything. You know everything. You're wise, blah, 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 blah. And all this energy goes into this egregore. When this egregore gets enough energy, it becomes autonomous. It becomes independent. It becomes its own being that exists independent of all those who created it. It is like AI run loose, if you want, or something else that's been human generated. Let's say some kind of human genetic manipulation that then just kind of runs wild. COVID, maybe? I don't know. It's on that order. Like enough energy gets put in, it's now alive, not physical, but it's a spirit, it's energetic, and we as sensitive beings can feel them. We feel them. Non-aware beings, clueless, they don't notice them at all. They're not hard to feel, and they will get in your way and make sure you feel them. But that stuff that you feel is a real thing, but it's not a physical thing. It's an egregore that was created by humans for some purpose based on the programming it has. And when you look at the descriptions of who God is and what they're allowed to do, things start to become a little bit more obvious. Over time, millions of people have believed in and prayed to these gods and have made them very, very powerful, to the point where they're not only autonomous, they're also demanding, and they insist on getting energy, and they will take it from you if they can find a way to do that. And they're really quite good at extracting energy from people, getting you upset, getting you feeling guilty, feeling shame, blame, regret, all of those things. Gods love that. They eat that stuff up. It's juju for them. They just absolutely love it. So it's like, okay, so here's these gods, and humans have created them eons ago, and here we are. Now what? What do we do with that? One of the things that was helpful for me was to understand why they were created. Because our brain looks at gods and goes, well, they're here to help us to become better people. So you look at religion and you tell me, is that actually happening? Well, for some people, maybe it is a factor. Some people do benefit through organized religions, but as a whole, maybe not. Right? So you could argue about it, but some people do clearly benefit from it. Do we benefit from it? I can tell you I don't. I tried. Nope. Doesn't benefit me. There's just too much bullshit, too much garbage in there that's so obvious. I'm like, oh, no, go away. I'm not playing that game. So who created all these gods, angels, demons, devils? My best guess, and this was a game changer for me, was power-hungry rulers, kings and lords, who were desperate to have more control over people. If you've never heard of the divine right of kings, and I remember it vaguely from school, long time ago, but it's this energy of the ruler, the king, the monarch, queen, whatever, is an incarnation of God and a physical manifestation of God, and is here in a physical body to rule the people. Like, that's the concept of divine right of kings. Like, and if you come from a society like a Western society that doesn't have monarchies, it's foreign to you because you're too far removed from it. But like even here, I'm living in Thailand, and not this current king, but the previous king more, like people thought of him as God. And he was benevolent and he did a lot of cool stuff for the people. So that fit. The newest king doesn't so much do that stuff for the people. He kind of does his own thing and says, you guys just take care of yourself. And so people don't think of him as a god. And that illusion has been lost in the Thai culture. But this started 4,000 years ago, Mesopotamia. First ruler, Niram Siak, whatever. He called himself a god, and he's the first one in recorded history 4,000 years ago to do that. But he's not alone. The Egyptians did that, Persians, Romans, Incans, Chinese, Japanese, Thai, and many other monarchies, especially in older times. They're like, hey, I'm a god, and you need to do what I say, not just because I'm your king and I can beat you up, because I'm also your god. And or God talks through me. God tells me what to do. My best guess is that these are the humans in the early days who created gods. They wanted something, a stronger up level of things that they could do to manipulate the people, to control the masses. And so what better way than to create a religion, make up these rules, and describe this creator that will punish you if you don't do what he says. So you can be the king and go, I'm just following what this God tells me. Like, don't look at me, go talk to him, right? How cool would that be as a leader? Like, yeah, they don't bother me now. They go yell at God. I'm just doing God's will. Like, like that's an awesome excuse. It's an awesome excuse. And it gives the king a huge amount of authority over his people, and he's not accountable to the people at all, just accountable to this God that he's fabricated. Now you have the king over here, and then there's another kingdom over here, another country over here, and they're like, oh, that king has a god or is a god. Oh, well, we need one, because like that's a good idea. And so many gods have been created in this process over time, and that is filtered down to religion. Look at the connection in America between Christianity and authority, or of how do I want to say that? I'm just gonna say authority. So it's like they're subtle about it. They're more subtle about it, but they're like, well, you know, we're one country under God. And if you go to court, you got to put your hand on the Bible and swear. And it's like, there's all these religious things that they're using for power. They're using it to push their authority, but they're doing it gently. They're doing it lightly. And that's even in a democracy. Democracy? I'll put that in quotes. So the thing that when I go to connect the dots and I feel into what's going on, my best guess is that gods and their minion, angels, demons, devils, blah, 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 were created by power hungry humans in human likeness and image. Not in humans weren't created in God's image. Gods were created in human image. If you look at the qualities that many of these religions give to gods, they sound like nasty, controlling humans. Coincidence? Probably not. So again, that's just my interesting theory about this, but that's my best guess as to who created these gods and why. And this has been going on for a long time. And it wasn't a huge deal way back when, because when you didn't have a lot of people believing in these gods, they weren't too terribly powerful. But now you've got these gods who've been supercharged by millions and millions and millions of people over eons of time. And they're running roughshod. They're running loose, doing their own thing. And they may not even have a lot of support from the people anymore. They keep going from leader to leader, from country to country. These gods need support ongoing. So they'll cozy up to whoever they need to do to get energy moving. It's another thing, you look at the fracturing of religion, that each one of those fractures has a different god that they're connected to. There are hundreds of gods, thousands of gods. And even the lie of monotheism, that there is only one God, which is what you'd need to say if you want your God to be the God. Yeah, there is only one God, and it's the one that I am as your ruler. Then, okay, the other gods are fake. All right. Right. So the more you look at this, it's like, oh, yeah, it kind of just fits. You start to see how it all comes together. So bottom line, there are now thousands of gods that they feel that they have the right and duty. It's their job to interfere in your life to get you to conform to those religious doctrine that they represent, that humans created thousands of years ago for control. My interesting point of view. Okay. So you're like, yeah, but I don't follow any religion, so I'm not a part of that. Yeah, I used to think that too. Let me show you what I found is, just by being born into a country that considers itself under some god. So if you're in America, it's one nation under God. Remember that one? Okay. I can't speak for the other countries, but I'm sure many of them have this same thing. I think it's like God and Queen or now we God and King in Europe, or like, I don't know. But I can tell you from America, having raised there, and having worked with people in untangling this, the country you're born into. So you get born into India, you are under the Hindu paradigm. If you're born in America, you're under the Christian paradigm. People who were born here in Thailand, they're under the Buddhist paradigm. So it's like you're just being born into that culture, you automatically are under the authority of the gods that culture claims to be their God. And in Christianity, there's multiples of those, even though they all keep saying there's one God and they're connected to the right one. There's actually multiples of them. But if you're born in the US, you're under a Christian God, and you are in service to that God on some level, in some way. And so depending on what country you're raised in, you'll have a different energies that you're in service to. Any additional religions that you willingly connect to, like New Age spiritual movement, which is basically Hinduism, by the way, they hide that. They're like, oh no, we're about love and light, and we're about this and the chakras, and you do this and you do yoga and you do this, and before you know it, you're in Hinduism 100%. It's a rebranding of Hinduism, the New Age movement. If you willingly choose those, you willingly now add another layer. You're not only, let's say you're born in the US, you are born under Christian gods. So they have a handle on you. They're already in your life, and they have a certain authority over your life, or they think so. You then take on New Age. You've now added a layer of Hindu gods to that. And now the Hindu gods and the Christian gods are not only going to fight with each other, they're going to push you to take sides. So they create this other struggle in their power struggle with each other. The third way I know this, that you can take these on, is by engaging their minions, angels, light beings, devils, demons. So if you engage an angel, and he's like, angel, help me to do this. Okay, well, we think angels are voluntary. They're not. It's a paid service. It's a service that if you use their service, you're basically signing up. You're getting a subscription to the God that owns that angel. So it's like, as you connect to that angel, you're now signing up for the God who owns that angel. You're now in service to that God because you used that service through that angel. And which God are you connected to? Could be any one of them. Could be any one of thousands and thousands of gods. Could be multiples. Some gods share or multitask with different, like, it's crazy when you look behind the scenes. It's crazy how dynamic and interconnected it is. It actually looks a lot like business does here, like how international and how intertwined and interwoven businesses have gotten with each other. That's what a lot of the God, angel, demon, devil stuff. You work with light beings. Who are they connected to? Don't know. You can find out who are they in service to, who are they in service to, who are they in service to. But like when you work with them, you're now working with some egregore. If I've actually found almost without, I'd say most of the energies that I've interacted with on this planet, and I've been channeling and engaging weird energies for half my life, most of those energies are egregores. Hands down, most, like 98%, 96% are egregores. So think generically, all this stuff is egregores. Not totally true, but it's an easy way to think about it. So even if you devils or demons, like if somebody's playing a nasty game with you using devils or demons, you'll be tempted to go, well, I'm going to be nasty back to you. You're borrowing a devil or a demon to get nasty at them. You're now in service to the God who owns that demon. Congratulations. Those are the three ways that I know that you can take things on. So some of it you're just born into, some of it you choose consciously or sort of consciously, and others you just engage their helpers, their minion, and that brings you into the you literally become in service to them. When we check it energetically, it's like, it's not that you're just connecting to them. They only know one thing, and that's you. What does a God know, right? What does a God want? It wants your dedication. It wants your service. So if you connect to a God, there you are. You're now in service to that God, and basically saying, okay, use me how you want. I'm in service to you, without realizing that that's what you're doing. As I've now been working with this process to untangle people, and we actually do an inventory to find out, like, what are you actually connected to, and we'll do that inventory today, or we'll do an overview of that inventory today. Most aware folks that I've worked with now, and I only have about 100 people so far who've gone through this process, are in service to 20 to 30 different gods. That many going on. And those are just gods. There are also alien energies, underworld energies. There's other, there aren't not just gods. So what are other egregores? So Easter Bunny, Tooth Fairy, Leprechaun, Santa Claus, egregore thought forms. But those are harmless ones for the most part. Unless you're Tooth, maybe, I don't know. Like, they're not programmed in a way that can mess with you. They're not given the authority or the energy to mess with you. Gods, goddesses, divine beings, light beings, even Jesus, sorry, is an egregore thought form. Actually, Jesus is many, many egregore thought forms. There isn't one Jesus. There are many, many energies that are referred to as Jesus, as there are many, many energies referred to as God, or whatever name is given to that God. Angels, archangels, seraphim, cherubim, egregore thought forms that are in service to God. Devils, demons, Satan's, Lucifer's, jinn, egregore thought forms in service to God. Aliens, reptilians, archons, underworld creatures are also egregore thought forms that humans have created. A lot of the alien stuff has just been created since the 50s, 1950s or so. And it's newish stuff. But what are the aliens allowed to do? They're allowed to abduct you. They're allowed to run tests on you. Like all of that programming of what they're allowed to do is in their makeup. And as more and more people put energy towards it, and oh yeah, they can come take over your world. They can take over your body. They can do all this. Those are all capacities that humans keep giving to aliens. Congratulations, let's create some more things. So generically, I wanted to just kind of give you a generic overview of like, okay, here's all this stuff. It was created by humans. So it means we can undo it, and probably should, because where we're going with this stuff is not really very pretty or helpful, I think, my interesting point of view. So what does this have to do with people who are an awareness? Like, why should I care, right? Most egregores do not want you to be aware or empowered, and they will do everything in their power to stop you from being aware, conscious, and connecting to your magic, your capacities, your gifts, and stepping into who you came here to be. Why? Because it's the egregor's main job to get you to conform to the system, the matrix here that you see all around you, that you're like, don't make me connect to that. That, like, the egregor's job is to get you to be a part of that system. When you're an outcast, a rebel, they're going after you and they're going to herd you. It's like a herding dog, a shepherd, the dog that herd the sheep. That's an egregore. Its job is to herd you and get you in the mass so that you're with everybody else. When you conform, they leave you alone. If you try to be you and try to step into your gifts, capacities, magic, and awareness, they're going to come barking at your heels, or worse. Okay. So people who become aware and empowered can't be controlled. So as you become aware, you see through the bullshit of this reality. You see through the bullshit of governments. You see the bullshit of education. You see through all the business and how all this stuff works and what its core agendas are. And that has nothing to do with benefiting you as a human. It has everything to do with benefiting them, or the structure, or the agenda. Like the quote unquote leaders of society, for the most part, I can't say, it varies depending on country to country. There's some part of them that's trying to help the country, and there's a large part of them that has a self agenda, and they're just out to help themselves. And that's becoming more and more aware. It's kind of, the cracks are forming, and we're starting to see through all that stuff. Egregores do not want you to become aware, because you can't be controlled when you can see the truth. You can mostly be controlled by lies and illusions. Once you see the truth, they're screwed, because you can see what's going on. You won't buy the bullshit anymore, and they lose power. Their goal is to prevent you from getting to that point. They don't want you to see what's true. Egregores need human energy to stay alive, or they fade. If more people become aware that these egregores are not what they appear to be, they're not really gods, they're just constructs that humans created that keep demanding energy, they'll stop getting energy, and they'll fade out, and they'll cease to exist, or they'll cease to become powerful first, and then over time they'll cease to exist. If enough people ignore that god and stop giving it energy, it will stop existing. It'll keep trying to engage people and get energy any way it can. But if it doesn't get enough, it just ceases to exist, and its whole reality collapses. So Egregore system is based in lies and illusions, and you can see through that. You totally can see through this. Whether you do or not right now isn't the issue. Egregores recognize that you have the capacity to see through it. They don't want you to engage that capacity. They don't want you to become aware, because once you see through it, the power collapses. Your awareness threatens their very existence. They have to stop you, or they cease to exist. They're stopping you for their very own existence. Their life is at stake from their perspective, and everything that they've been programmed, their mission is at stake just by you becoming aware. That's why they attack you when you're not even doing anything to them. Like, I understand once I started to talk about interference and taking these guys down, why they might have been interested in taking me out. But then they lost power over me, and they had less capacity to affect me. But before that, oh man, they ran my life through the ringer for decades, messed with me horribly. And that's ending. Awareness ends this bullshit. Awareness ends this bullshit. It's the reason I keep encouraging people, become aware, become aware. Don't buy the bullshit. Don't buy the programming. Don't listen to the matrix crap. Become aware on your own. Know what you know. Learn, step into and own what you know to be true, and ignore the lies and the bullshit. And you will cut through, and you'll find yourself and disempower these clowns too at the same time. Questions on Egregore? If you have a question, you want to raise your hand. There's a lot of people, so I don't want to just open it up yet. But any questions on Egregore? I'm gonna move into next why they've been hard to get rid of and how to get rid of them. But let's see, John, let me unmute you. How do we do that? Yeah, I can't. Okay, so Anjana, if you unmute yourself there.
Hi, Jason.
Hey, what do you got?
Can you hear me?
I can.
So aging and disease are also egregores, right? I mean, you have a certain thought pattern about how you age, and disease also has a thought pattern.
They are, yes, but they're not.
Okay.
They're not as powerful. What we just did a program on aging and disease, and one of the things that we found is it's more about the viewpoints that are propagated through the matrix here. It's more about the lies that we're told that we believe that cause us to own it. Like, if you believe that your body breaks down over time, then you're going to go, yeah, that's my body breaking down over time, and they're right. Right? So, but if you don't have those beliefs, then your reality and your experience of aging is different. You don't age the same way if you're if you don't have those beliefs. So to me, a lot of the aging stuff is more connected to, I would call them overlays, cultural overlays or social overlays, but there are also egregores of almost any topic you can imagine, but they're not powerful. So in most cases, they don't have the power or authority to actually mess with you. So I wouldn't get caught up on smaller egregores because they're not a huge deal. It's more about the belief system.
Just another question. So, I mean, I think initially mankind would have looked up to something bigger, like the sun or the mountain, and then started worshipping it, right? So that would be the first form of us looking up to another form for protection and sustenance. So, I mean, how does that work?
It's also, who are those beings? We see this as we, and again, that's the history we were given. We were handed that history. Is that history true? Often those histories go unquestioned, that we're told this is the way the past was, and we assume that's true, but what if it's not? So that's my first question, is it actually true? Did that actually happen that way? My second question would be, which kind of human are you referring to? There are humans on this planet that I call programs, in that they're just kind of like run by the matrix. They're like NPC characters. If you saw, darn it, what was that movie? Free Guy. They're like NPC characters that are programmed by the machine. They just run program. They wake up, they do this routine, they go to work, they come home, they watch television, they go to bed, they wake up, they go to work, they go blah, 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 blah. They just keep doing that routine over and over again. Those beings are not you and I. They're not creator beings. They're more like programs that are not aware and not awake. They'll do whatever they're programmed to do. Pray to the sun, whatever. Like they'll do all that stuff. Aware beings intuitively have a sense of things. It's like you can connect to the sun and go, wow, you know, that's a higher energy. But you also can feel that, well, you're a part of that too. So it's not really separate from you. You're part of that sun too, as you're part of the earth and part of the trees. It's like you're aware beings have a knowing of more and don't buy those illusions too easily. So that whole history thing, I question the relevance for us as aware beings.
Okay, got
Okay,
that.
cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And Destine, did you have something? Destiny? You'll have to unmute.
I didn't mean to turn on the video.
Yeah.
My lineage, I was digging really deep because I'm still doing a lot of clearing. I've been doing this for like 5-6 years, and we got through to the lineage. So right now I'm in the place where the lineage, we're clearing out the lineage, and there is a place where the ancestors had created a egregore in order to protect the purity of the lineage.
Okay.
And
yeah.
with that, okay, so, but this caused a lot of mental, like, shit, for a while, I thought I was going crazy. It was like there was all this confusion, distortions, mental
So let me
stuff.
pause you. Let me pause you. Because as I feel into what you're talking about, while there can be an egregore that a lineage programs, a lineage of people is actually a small group. So that egregore wouldn't have a lot of power to it. Not compared to like a Hindu god or a Christian god or some. Those have magnitudes more power. So a lineage egregore would have actually very little influence over you, short of the programming that gets handed down to you that you accept. Right. And as you as a walk-in come in, so most of us are walk-ins. As you come into the body, you're creating an entirely new lineage, if you will. You're creating an entirely new timeline. That timeline is not connected to the parents that birthed your body. So you actually step away from that lineage paradigm. As soon as you have a walk-in, you're creating a new timeline. So that weakens any of that old stuff even more, unless you mentally buy it. Does that make sense? So as I've surveyed the depth of what tangles people, there is nothing more tangly, my experience with this, than Hindu gods. And many of us stepped into the new age thing and like, oh yes, love and light. Yeah. That's the Hindu stuff. And oh, those gods are so dark and they're so nasty. And they to me, if you were to strip the Hindu gods out, I'd say for the average person, about 70 to 80% of the stupid garbage in their life would just disappear. Like it's that powerful. All the other things that people refer to and all the other, they're so tiny, they're so minimal, it's almost a joke. So I'm going to say, magnitude. Oh, I'm not saying it doesn't help, but it's like on the scale of things, the magnitude of things, it moves things forward that much. And I'm looking to move forward huge amounts. Does you see? So it's a magnitude thing. I'm looking for like what activities can be done, what clearing can be done that's going to move a person forward the fastest. And to me, untangling walk-ins, number one, the fastest. Clearing Egregore, number two. Like if you were to clear walk-in and Egregore, you would, for the most part, be quite free, except for the mental programming that you need to clean up. But you no longer have the egregores constantly reinforcing and pushing that programming and making it seem real or true, so that programming dissolves over time.
Okay. And you're going to help us look at,
We'll look at that.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll look at that.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Thank
Cool.
you,
Yep. Cool. And Moria, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that.
Yeah. Keep on doing it, you'll get it. How are you going?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
I just wanted to tell you you're nuts, just from a religious point of view.
Thank you. I own that. I'm totally nuts, yes.
It's the best story I've heard in a long time, and the scary thing is that I think it's true.
I know, that's kind of weird, isn't it? Yeah.
It's very weird. It's getting weird all the time, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
So, we listened to or watched and listened, participated in one of your walking webinars, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, and it was like amazing and insane and stuff like that. So just in case, any of us gets taken down or we destroy ourselves or the kind of webinar ends or something unexpectedly, I wanted to kind of go to the bottom of it. We can all go anytime. So what is not egregore? What is real? Who are we according to you and what you saw or got, and who are the creator beings or creation? What is real?
Well, egregores are real, but they're not what we believe they are. Like those gods are gods, and in their minds, they are a god. In their existence, as they're programmed, they are a god, but they're not creative at all. They need us to create. So, and we created them, they didn't create us. So there's a lot of things that have been twisted around in those stories, but it's like, those are the illusions that you need to untangle as you go through life.
So they're gods,
but
they're delusional.
What's that?
Yeah. They're gods, but they're delusional. So I'm wondering.
Yeah. Good way to say it.
But it's okay. We all are, we all come from that. Like we were waking up. But so what, who are we according to what you found out? Who are we, and what is not egregore? What is creation or what is real?
Well, tangible, physical. I mean, what is real? There's layers of reality. They are real, but they're not really what we think they are. Physical humans, like, we're real, but it's like there are people who I would say are not real. People who I refer to as programs. They're not really humans. They're still in a body. They're in a real human body, but that body is not driven by an aware being or a being seeking to be aware. It's more driven by a program. Could that body be taken over? Could it have a walk-in and have an aware being come in? Absolutely. Could that programming change and that being start to become something else? Absolutely. But to me, it's like there are beings who they come here aware, and there are beings who their path is never about becoming aware. It's not a thing for them. They're more here to do whatever program they're here to do, or pattern cycle they're here to run. So to me, what is real is based on you. What do you perceive as real? I'm not here to tell you what I feel is real. as much as invite you to explore what is real and true in your reality. So like
I think the essence.
Go.
Yeah, yeah. I think the essence of my question was not so much what you said, which feels and resonates as truth according to all of our healing work, awareness, and stuff like that. So what is creative? What is creative, or what is creator?
There we go. So right. So there are beings that, how do we say that? To me, there's an energy of what I call creation, and it's what most people call universe or God or what have you. And to me, creation is this engine that we participate in and are a part of. And so I'm not separate from creation. You're not separate from creation. Programs would be separate from creation because they're not involved in it. To me, creation is a mechanism in this reality that is highly interactive and highly co-creative, and we are all aware creator beings are a part of that in some way, and we either use it more or we use it less, and there's different levels of engagement in it. There's different ways of playing with or co-creating with creation. It's actually a complicated thing to answer, and it's kind of off topic, so I'm gonna kind of let that fade out. So is that helpful?
Yeah, awesome.
Cool. Thank you. Good question. Thank you. One more question. Ariela, Ariela. You can unmute yourself. Hi.
It's Ariella.
Oh, hi, Ariela. Thank you. Hi.
Yes. I'm curious about, I've been doing a lot of studies on the Egregors, and I read that they created people. So I'm wondering, have they created people, in the physical?
Does it feel light to you that they created people? So truth, how much did they create people, and how much was it something else?
Something else.
Yeah, that's my perception too. So once, if you look at this as strategy, Egregore strategy, once some Egregore says, well, I am the one God, the other Egregores will go, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. No, I'm the one God too. No, I'm the one God too. No, I'm the one God too. And there's now thousands of gods running around saying, I'm the one God. And then one says, well, I created you. I created all humans. No, I created all humans. No, I created. Then now the aliens are saying they created all humans, right? Like if you look at it as a strategy it's almost like marketing. Right? Like you can watch one business come up with some new marketing strategy that works, and then everybody starts using it. Same stuff in the Egregore world. So there's countless Egregores that will flat out say, I created you, so you need to serve me. Is it true? Not my reality. Helpful?
Yes, very helpful. Just one more question.
Yep.
So when people say, God bless you, is that like a way of them putting an egregor on me or my daughter, let's say, so that way, we just have that in our field?
It's if you accept that.
Okay.
Yes, I accept your blessing. It's yours. Congratulations, you're now connected.
How do you deny it, or how do you not accept it in a way that's polite by to receive it but not repel it? So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, often if I'm with the person and they say it, I just let it kind of, it's like the Matrix thing, like the bullet come by, it's like, I just let it go by me. I don't do anything with it. I used to go, oh, thank you, or whatever. And now I often don't even reply to it. I just kind of dodge it and let it go by me. The more you know, the less. So it's easy when you first start to do this to get into fear about, oh, I'm going to get snagged by that. Oh, I'm going to get snagged by that. It's not totally that easy, but you have to buy into it on some level. So if you're like, yeah, no, I don't think I'm going to be blessed today by that. Thank you. Gone. But if you accept that and go, well, you know, maybe that would be useful. I could use a blessing today. I could use some additional help today. You've just gotten snagged there. Do you see the difference?
Yes, very much so. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Cool. Good questions. Thank you. So why have egregores, demons, gods, aliens, been so hard to get rid of? The first one is because we didn't actually know what the heck they are. Like people will say, well, you must be an atheist. Well, by the technical standards, no, because I believe in gods. I know they exist, thousands and thousands and thousands of them. I flatly know they exist. So technically, I'm not an atheist. Do I believe they are actually a god? No, not at all. So it's like it's this gray area that you're like, well, there's something there, but it's not. And like, what is it? So the nature of egregore has been so tangly that just understanding or comprehending the true nature of egregores gives you power over it, because you start to get more clarity about it. To me, awareness of what is gives you power. They say information gives you power. Yeah, okay, maybe in that paradigm. To me, awareness gives you power. As you know, as you step into and own, I know this is true, and I know this is true, and this is true. Whatever you perceive to be true. It's like when you own those things more and more, you start to cut through the fog of this reality, and you become more powerful. Isn't really the right word, but your clarity allows you to just cut through the garbage, and that gives you power, or gives you more capacity to be more effective in your life. So to me, just not understanding egregore, the difference between before I understood them and after has been profound. And I've been working with these guys and trying to untangle and get rid of them for over a decade now. And it wasn't until I actually got how they were created and how this thing, that it's like, oh, now I know what to do, right? Like that gave me something. So to me, it was so complicated or so convoluted that I just couldn't get it. Once I understood egregores, it's like, bam, I just knew what to do with it. Awareness creates change, creates power, creates more of you stepping forward. Ancient agreements have been misused and corrupted, giving egregore more power. So I talked about this in a recent blog and a recent email that I sent out. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because it's not that huge of a deal, but I do want to look at it. So again, I'm just going to tell a story. I'm not saying this is true. I'm telling a story to kind of explain energies that I perceive. To me, this reality is co-creative. And the first creators that found this space, like this is a magical space, if you will. This, all that is this magical space. And the first creator popped into it and went, whoa, this is wild. This can do some really cool stuff. Popped back out and found some other creator. You got to go take a look at this. come on, come. And they pop in, they're like, whoa, you could do some cool shit here. Whoa, this is really cool. So this is this reality that we're participating in here. And so the first group of creators that I'm going to call prime creators, prime meaning first as it came to here, they weren't the creator. Nobody knows who created this reality. It's more like something that we stumbled on and stepped into, and we're like, whoa, look at what this does. This is so wild. And so we invited more other creators to come in and play, and they created this informal founding agreement. That's like, oh, this is so cool. What do you want to do? Well, I want to do this, and I want to do that, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. Cool, we'll work together, and we'll share information, and let's go play, right? That was an informal agreement that was created by founders. And people make that significant, but they're no different than you and I. You and I, if you go back far enough, are involved in this reality. We are founders in this. Many of us are founders of this reality. We're one of those nutcases that popped in the beginning and went, whoa, let's play here. This could be really cool. Okay. So the reality itself is not understood. The reality itself is magical. The reality itself is creative. The reality itself has an expression that it wants to express as and co-create with other beings. And like, we're still figuring out this reality after eons of playing here. We're still figuring out this reality, the duality of it, the reflection part of it, like all these unusual characteristics that are here, and the co-creative and the dynamic ways of creation here are like, whoa, they're still mind-blowing to those of us who are researching this place. But these original prime creators came in. Are they special? No, they're just more of us. But this informal founding agreement can be seen as, well, those were the gods, the original creators. They're not. They're just people like us who came in and went like, whoa, dude, this is really cool. That agreement was later used by a person who wanted to be more important. So one of the things that people are exploring here is power, authority, control, dominance, and you can see that bubbling even more to the surface, more and more year by year. And that will untangle itself, but like that's a thing here. And the gods are part of that tangle. To me, the first person who took that informal founding agreement says, like, I was part of that. I'm a special creator here. Manipulated that agreement and basically brought in this energy of, I'm better than you. Co-creators know we're all equal, and we all have different things that we like. We all have different things we're good at, but we're not better than each other. We're just different from each other. This was a completely different paradigm. This is, some are better than other people. I'm better than you are. You're better than I am at that. It's like that distortion. I'm going to go as far as to call it a corruption. That corrupted that agreement and misused it in a way. That was then later given to God. So let's say you're now a creator coming down, and you're now, I don't know, some emperor somewhere, and you've got this, you're aware, and you've got this vague notion that, you're connected to this creator's thing. It's like, so it's not a stretch to go, well, I'm a god here. You need to listen to what I tell you to do. I'm your emperor, and I'm a god, and I have proof. I have this document. See, it's got my name on it. Mm-hmm. See, I'm one of the creators here. I'm a god. You need to listen to what I tell you to do. Right? You can feel that now in the paradigm. It kind of plugs in. That agreement was modified, and once one person used that, then that one person started to have other people use that. And then as that one person creates this egregore as, you know, this god that can live on and be more powerful, that agreement was given to that egregore. See, you are one of the original creators here. You are a god. Here is your proof. And so that god had that agreement, which really had nothing to do with anything. It was just, hey, let's get together and play. That was the intention, got turned into something else, got modified. And that once one god found, ooh, I have this, they would trade it with each other. They'd sell it with each other. It's kind of like you take this certificate, you take it to the copy machine, you white out the name, you make a copy of it, you write your name in it. It's like, see, I'm a creator too. I have that certificate too. I'm a god. I'm special. So this kind of early document, if you will, got manipulated, and now these egregores hold this document. In and of itself, okay, so it maybe gives them a bigger sense of power or what have you, but that tangle goes a little bit deeper. How do I want to say this here? I'll just run it into the other thing. What gets tangly is when people believe that that's true. And the planet has believed that that's true. So if you think of your body as a walking piece of the planet, your body expresses its individual agenda, like what your body's agenda, what your body wants to explore this lifetime, which is connected to what the planet wants body to explore, unless your body's an infinite body, and that's another topic. So your body has this agenda, but its connection to the planet, because it's a piece of the planet, means that if the planet feels like this is important, your body's going to feel like this is important. Now you're in your body, you're co-creating with your body. Inside you, you're going to feel the planet's agenda. The planet feels this is important. So the planet buys the whole egregore thing. The planet does not see what us infinite beings see about these egregores. The planet sees these original agreements that go way back, and it was founded on it. The planet was created with this agreement already in place. That the planet believes that that agreement is real and is proof of something and is valid and has never questioned that. And so one of the things we do when we're clearing is we not only look for these high level agreements, because it's kind of like, let me zoom in over here. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Doo, doo, doo. So the God stuff is all highly hierarchical, intensely hierarchical is what I want to say. So let's say that you have the highest level God. That God has what I call the prime agreement. They have the copy of this document that I've been referring to here, this agreement that's been modified and modified and modified. They hold that, and then they share it with the gods that are under them. And I'm just making this stuff up, but like this, then the territorial gods. So be the high god who nobody ever interacts with. They're up somewhere all by themselves. They only interact with other subservient gods. Those gods then represent the big god, speak for that god in different territories. And then there are supervising gods and administrative gods and functional gods. And then like that goes down into, and I'm going to use the example from the Catholic Church because they're a bit more structured, is they have then they have the angels. So you have a hierarchy of angels, you have a hierarchy of demons and devils. But let's look at the angel one because it's a little bit more straight public, I guess. People can see it easier. So like the highest level ones are seraphim, cherubim, thrones. The second level down in just the angelic hierarchy are the dominion, lordship, the virtues, the powers of authority. The third sphere under those, the ones that are subservient to those are called the principles or the archangels, and under those are the angels. The angels you interact with are the bottom of the totem pole, the very bottom of the whole. They're if it was in a corporation, they're some menial secretary in the office, right? Who is under all these layers of structure and power and authority and control. And then you have the paradigm that's next to the angelic one, that's the satanic and demonic one. The Satans are up at the top, and the lowly demons are down at the bottom. And they're the minions that get sent out to deal with humanity. So if you just try to clear, let's say, a demon, they're at the bottom of this scale. You clear the demon, it's like squashing an ant in your kitchen counter. There are thousands more where that came from, and they're making new ones every day. Same deal with egregores. They just pump those little guys out. They don't take a lot of energy. They are not very bright. They're not autonomous. They just follow the orders they're given, and they just keep doing what they're told to do. And they can just keep sending them into your reality over and over and over and over again. You try to clear those, not a big deal. You try to clear the archangels who send the angels, okay, but then there are ones above that, and ones above that, and ones above that, and ones above that, all the way up the hierarchy. You need to grab the highest level agreement holder, who I'm going to call the prime agreement holder for multiple reasons. That, if you pull the agreement from that highest level God, everyone under that whole thing becomes powerless in your reality. So that was the other piece that was very helpful for me to get, was that we're looking for not just to clear the lowest level, we're trying to clear the highest level. And I knew that, but I couldn't figure out how to get to the highest level. And by calling out the agreement and looking for the agreement holder, the prime agreement holder, bam, we nail them. Okay, so that's the relevance of this agreement thing. The agreement themselves are stupid. They're not valid. They don't actually mean anything. They're not terribly valuable, but it gives a target for us to grab, because they have the highest level one is the highest level holder. That's who we want. You pull it from there, and everybody down that line, powerless. They can't mess with you. They can't touch you, because they don't feel they have the authority anymore to mess around in your world. That's where that starts to change. Planet. So most people misuse power. Yeah, okay. So the planet's also been tricked into supporting Egregore and believes the ancient agreements are authentic. We get a drink. So the last piece of the puzzle that we've had to figure out was the planet. Because I would say, okay, I want to let this go. And the planet's like, you can't let that go. That's core foundational to the whole planet. You can't let that go. And I'm like, I'm letting that go. And the planet's like, no. And it's like, great, now what do I do? So we've learned to facilitate the planet and to show the planet what we've found. So the planet, as you can imagine, is got a lot of unconsciousness running. You can see it. Like, you just look out there and you're like, yeah, there's a lot of it. It's getting better. It's dramatically improving. People and the planet are becoming more aware. Awesome. We're going in the right direction, despite what it may look like at times. We're going in the right direction. But the planet itself, and there are many versions of the planet, and I'm not going to get into all that stuff, but the planet itself, the piece of the planet your body is connected to personally, needs to become aware enough to let the agreement go on your body's behalf. So previously I could clear it on my behalf, and it couldn't touch, the egregore couldn't touch my being, but it could mess with my body, which is messing with me. So by going down to a planet level and bringing awareness to the planet, not only are we bringing awareness to the planet, but we're also showing the planet. So how it looks is like, planet, here's this group of beings, these egregores, and they're messing with us, and I want to let them go. And planet's like, well, no, they're helpful. And we're like, what seems like helpful is a manipulation here, and they manipulated there, and they manipulated here, and they manipulated there, and they did this, and they did that, and they did this, and they did that, and they did this, and they did that, and nothing they did was authentic. And planet goes, oh, that's really hard to believe. Like, yeah, I agree. It's a stretch, but are you willing to roll with me on this? Planet goes, okay, we'll try it. And planet is willing to let go of these agreements with you. And now your body is free from them, as well as your being is free from them. So that third component for me has been about how to understand the planet's inner connection with our body, and how to talk to the planet in such a way that it can see it's being manipulated, or it has been manipulated, or we've all been manipulated here, and let's at least give it a try letting that go. And the planets that I've worked with so far, the people I've worked with so far, the planet's role seems to be cautious. Like, okay, you make a good point. I see what you're saying. I see there's truth there. I'm not totally ready to look at the whole picture yet, but in your case, I'm open to letting that go for you. And that's all we need right now, is for the planet to let it go for you personally, so you can get free from this stuff. And the more people do it, the more the planet becomes more aware. My sense is, or my hoping is, or my direction of travel is, that ultimately the entire planet becomes not only aware, but also releases these egregores that I believe are corrupting governments, corrupting businesses, corrupting relationships, corrupting all levels of things here, in their need for power, in their need for control, in their need for dominance over things. So to me, the egregore are the problem. And this is the solution, or it's one solution that I've figured out. And we're constantly trying to improve it, but this is the one. So anyone have questions on this concept, why they've been hard to get rid of? If you have a question, just raise your hand. Cool. Okay. So how do we get rid of them? Well, this is the process right here. This is the most recent version of the process. Basically, what we're doing is we're generating awareness for the planet. And so I'm first doing something to find these egregores. Like, how do you track them? How do you grab them? So we found wording and ways to go after them and grab them. And I'll show you a little bit more in the next page here. So we've come up with ways of grabbing the prime agreement holder, and then their parent egregores, the prime agreement holders, and in some cases for Trickster's Underworld and some alien energies, they use what they call anchoring agreement holders, which is a little different than prime agreement holder, but we go after the anchoring agreement holder. And so we're just kind of identifying, okay, who are we working with here? And then we start working with the planet to pick apart the illusions they're hiding behind that make them seem divine, that make them seem benevolent, that make them seem helpful, or that they're actually here to protect us, when they're not at all. Not at all. We invite the planet to see that no, they're actually not helpful. They're not here to protect us. And when you ask the planet, are they actually classified as a friend or foe? In most cases, after you do the first one, planet will go, oh, they're classified as a foe. And that gets the planet going, doubting, and going, wait a minute here. Okay. Now to clear, what we're going to do is we grab the perceived benefit. So it's like, what is everything that was the benefit or value of engaging these egregores? But we need to get into the nooks and crannies and grab all of it. And that's where it gets a little bit more complicated than just doing it lightly, generically. But we're going really deep, and we're grabbing all the benefits or values that you, your body, and the planet have, because we're clearing all three of those layers. That's the secret. If I clear just the being level, your being can be free, but your body, you can still be harassed through your body and the planet. So all those levels need to be cleared. Then you experience freedom. It's not, I've not found another way to do it other than to get all of those levels, because you are a part of not only your body, but also a part of the planet as well as creation. So it's like, you need to have a broad spectrum clarity, or that's what seems to help. I don't know about need, but that's what seems to help. So we clear the what were perceived to be the benefits of holding on to these energies, what were not the benefits of holding on to these energies. And then we go after, what is everything these energies agreed they would, that we agreed we would do for these energies, and everything these egregores agreed they would do for us. And we put all that in the pile. And in that content are all the lies about, and all the manipulations that they've used to trick humanity over eons of time. And this is the current list, and this keeps growing. The ones here in light brown have just been, they're ones we're trialing right now. They're to see what's the most effective wording for it. But these are the illusions that they use: identity theft, pretending to help us. They use Trojan horses. They give you a gift that actually is a manipulation. They'll take energies of something that feels wrong, and they'll flip it around to make it appear right or good when it's actually not. They pretend to help you just so you feel obligated to help them. They'll amplify and polarize energies so you see just the good stuff and you don't see the yucky stuff over there. You don't think it's connected. They'll alter the meaning of words and of the languages used. You look back at how what words used to mean 200 years ago, and 200 years later, there's a lot of words that have been changed already. The meaning can be totally opposite or changed in a way that's disempowering. There's so much of that crap that's happened over 4,000 years of egregores. They've been playing this game for a long time. They are not new to the game. We're new to the game. Okay. They make promises that they don't intend to fulfill. They'll have a trusted agent show up as the front man, but the person who's actually controlling them, deeply corrupted. They'll lie to the planet to use the system. They'll promote fantasies that are unlikely to ever be fulfilled. And they do something called co-creative entrapments, where they'll say, hey, let's work together. And co-creators are like, yeah, planet's like, yeah, I love co-creating. This is awesome. Come on, let's go create. And the original agreement seems like, okay, it's not great, but it's like, okay, well, I can work with this. And then they keep changing and modifying the agreement a little bit at a time, modifying it a little bit at a time. And then years, decades later, that agreement now just sucks and is completely against you, but you didn't see that before. And there are other ones we have not found words for yet. So we basically walk the planet through looking at where all these were used, and you look at all the manipulations, and the planet goes, oh, there's nothing really real about these guys. Yeah, now you're seeing what we're seeing. Are you willing to destroy and create these agreements? The planet's like, all right, I can go with that. And you clear it, gone. So, and sometimes it takes a couple of cycles to weed out all the manipulations, illusions, and distortions, but that's the core process. It's not different from some other things we've done before, but there's some modifications we've done about the prime agreements and about going after the manipulations, illusions, distortions that make a difference. So once you know and can understand, you're facilitating the planet's awareness, and you roll this, it just kind of unravels, it kind of unfolds. So that's, the process is not hard. It's actually simple. The more you do it, it just gets easier and faster. But it's one of, we're supporting the planet to become more aware. That's the key element that I wanted to leave you with on that, is it's not just about you, the being. If you want to free your body, you need to start to work with the planet. And that's the reason why this facilitating thing becomes, learning to facilitate the planet as well as other people becomes so useful, because your awareness depends on getting that, right? Somebody asked if you get the PDF, you don't get this whole PDF, but you get the main part of the PDF. Yes. I won't give you the process in there. No, actually, I don't know that you would know what to do with the process without more instruction behind all of that. But so how do you know what you're connected to? Well, it turns out that you're actually in service to them. So you can actually just ask, and they're happy to tell you, yes, you're in service to me. I didn't say they were bright, but I mean, some of them are more bright than that, but most of them are not. So here's how we're going to check this. So I want to invite you to explore which one of these you're in service to. These are the core categories. There are many other things, but these are the big ones. So here's how we check it. So truth, how much are you in service to Christian gods? And just allow yourself to feel that energy and get a sense of the magnitude of it. Is it like a small pile of energy? Is it like a medium pile of it? Is it like, whoa, there's a truckload of these, whoa, like how big is that? So truth, how much are you in service to Christian gods? Feel that energy field. It's just an energy field. And also feel the frequency of that energy field. Okay, now let's check another one. So truth, how much are you in service to Hindu gods? Ooh. And feel the magnitude of that one compared to the Christian one. And feel the energy of that one. Like when I feel the energy of the Hindu ones, it's like, bleh, it's just gross. But it's usually way bigger. So allow yourself to perceive, how much are you in service to Buddhist gods? And I know technically Buddhism doesn't have gods, but there are Buddhist egregores that call themselves Buddhist gods. So, and it's often tied in with New Age. So if you've connected with New Age, you've probably gotten a little bit of Buddhist stuff, though they're not nasty relative to the Hindu ones. They're kind of polite, actually. So truth, how much you, I was jabbering, I'll stop jabbering. How much are you in service to Buddhist gods? How much are you in service to Islam gods or Muslim gods? And there are, and in the program, I've got pages and pages and pages and pages of these. These are the core categories. The other ones, the other sub-religions, they don't seem to be as tangly. The newer religions have less depth to them, the egregores have less power to them. So they're less of an issue. These ones are the oldest religions and they have the most. But some people have Greek gods, some people have other religious element stuff. If you've delved deep into Egyptian mythology, then you probably have connection to Egyptian gods, goddesses. So it's like all of those are subcategories that you might want to look at, but we start with those. Let's check, how much are you in service to alien energies? Ooh, that doesn't feel very good. And how much are you in service to underworld energies? Ooh, these are all egregores. How much are you in service to corrupter energies? Oh, it's smaller than I expected in this group. Cool. And then there are other egregores that we'll address in the future program, but I'm not going to talk about here today. There are mind system egregores that are, I'm just not going to go into it, that are synthetic mind systems that have egregores and use egregores to connect you to them. If you've got a busy mind and you're very intellectual, you likely have a connection to one of these two. So, Truth, how much you in service to mind system or synthetic mind egregores? Okay, and if you get content, comes up there. And then how much you in service to other thought forms, other egregores? And that's for most people fairly small. So what I've noticed is this program, or the clearing is actually, there's not much to it, but you got to run it a couple times to get it down to clear. And so what we've ended up doing is, I've got, how many programs is this? 9 programs. So it's like, if you're looking to clear egregores, if that seems like an issue to you, this is the next step. If you go to jaden-fox.com/egregore, it will take you to my shop where this program is sitting. And basically what we've done is, as this was evolving, as this paradigm was evolving and I was awakening to it, I would meet with my Be Your Brilliance group, my research group, and we would do clearing and also expand awareness. So we're constantly inviting you to become more aware of what is actually true for you, as well as clearing. So we've recorded these, and these are going to walk you through clearing these different groups. So in the first video, what is an egregore? I'm going to go even deeper into understanding what is an egregore. Somebody asked, can I put the link? Yes, I can. I can put the link. Let's see if I can do this copy. Somebody asked if I can put the link in the chat, and yes, I can. Or I believe I can. I want to send it to all. How do I send it to all? Everyone in the meeting, and paste. Go. It worked. And somebody asked in the chat, is there a live? There's a live component to this, but much of it is recorded. So it's both live and recorded. Because you'll need access to me live to double check, to verify, to get clarity, to get untangled with certain things. So I'm going to make at least 2 live Q&As. It's always more. I don't know why I say. I always go more than what I offer. I don't know. It just does that. But so there will be live calls. But what is an egregore? In the first program, we're going to go deeper into that. The more you understand this, the clearer this world gets. Honestly, there's an example I talk in here that I'm not going to go over here about the Nazi egregore that actually humanity watched that egregore form, take on life, take over, and then collapse. And that's the life cycle of an egregore. And I want to walk you through what that life cycle looks like. And you've been a part of that. It's been a part of your history here to some degree. So you have a connection, or it helps you to see what's going on. So we'll go deeper into what egregore are. No longer in service to Christian, Hindu, Islam, Buddhist gods. So we're going to take layer 1, and I'm going to go, and we'll go gently. How do I say it? I start simple and get more sophisticated as we go, because the stuff in the beginning is easy to grab, but the deeper ones are like more convoluted, more tangled, more illusion in there. And so we go at it in layers. So in program 2, we'll grab Christian, Hindu, Islam, Buddhist at first layer. In program 3, which is called Going Deeper 2, whatever, we'll take that down a level, and we'll get more detailed, and we'll grab even more stuff that we didn't get the first time. The third one will go into alien, underworld, and corruptor thought forms and start to get that stuff out, try to make sense of that stuff and and then strip it out of your world. For some people, this is actually more profound than the God stuff are. If you've really been into aliens and you've been like enamored by the alien stuff and you're like, wow, I don't even feel like I'm from this world. I feel like I'm an alien. Yeah, you're involved. You have alien egregores that are pretending to be you, so you feel like you're an alien. You're not an alien. You're human. Sorry. You're better than an egregore. You're more than an egregore. But as you clear the alien egregores, all of a sudden you're like, whoa, I'm back. Yeah, and they don't have so much control over your life anymore. We'll strip out synthetic mind. For people who are very mental or even somewhat mental, it's often a mind system that's running or using your mind to process information. Yeah, it's not enjoyable. In program 5, we'll go into clearing money, poverty, and victimhood, as well as being fat and limited time. So egregores can be concepts as well. I don't find them as powerful or as manipulative as the gods and that stuff. So we start there and don't get too carried away on the smaller ones because they're a piece and they're a thing, but they're not as huge as the God stuff. The God stuff is really like, go after the Hindu stuff first. Take out the Hindu stuff, man. That's gonna totally revolutionize your life. Go for the Hindu stuff first. And then finally, we'll go after identity egregores, which are I'm not even gonna try to explain it. They're smaller. So we're gonna start big and we get smaller, more refined, more refined. And it's gonna show you the breadth and depth of the egregores that are participating in your world. There's then 2 videos that are what I call updates. So because this is an unfolding thing, I keep learning new stuff all the time. I keep figuring out shortcuts. I keep figuring out faster ways. If you get this program and you want to find what's the most current, go watch this video first. The No Longer Service to Egregore Update 2. It is the most current version of it, and it goes the deepest as far as I'm concerned. But again, it's a layer thing. So you'll still want to go back to the beginning, but you'll have a clearer conception of what's going on. And as you move through, you'll be stronger, you'll be clearer in your ability to go through. So it is a process. You do have to do the work. It's not just sitting there listening to Jaden jabbering. Honestly, if you think about like just putting these on loop and letting it work, you're wasting your time. That you need to actively participate because you need to facilitate your version of the planet. If you're not up for that, you don't want to participate in this. You really don't, or you're not desperate enough yet. I'm sorry, it sounds bad, but it's true. Let's see, I think that's the end, yeah. So I wanted to, so basically, let me make this unconfusing if I can. You'll get these videos that walk you through step by step. You'll get the documents that have all the detail in it. And the tricky part is finding what you have rolling. So I'm going to do at least 2 live Q&As, and I'll probably do No Longer in Service Egregore Update 3 with this group as well. So basically, we're going to come in as a group, and we're going to go through this process as a group. But most of it you're going to be doing on your own, which is kind of the nature of it. But there'll be 2 live Q&As where you can ask questions, and you'll hear when we go through this. It's like, okay, so what percent do I have Christian egregores running in my system? What percent are Hindu egregores? What percent are Buddhist? What percent are Islam? I can work with you to see how much you have running, which ones to go after, and I can tell you when they're gone. I mean, you'll know it too, because you'll feel it. Your world is just freaking quiet. It's just, you don't have noise. It's just very simple. But the it's nice to have somebody who can work with you to go, you want to work on that one. You want to focus on that. This you still have. So I can quantify for you how much of each one of these departments you have. And if something's glitchy, I can help you to untangle it. So, so that's the egregore thing. Yeah, I want to open it up for questions and questions about anything. What do you got? You would just raise your hand, or I guess you could even unmute and just ask a question if you like.
Hey,
Hey,
Jaden, this
Jaden.
is Ann.
Hi, Ann. What do you got?
I am loving this. And
Yay.
you know, the numbers were coming up so quick when you were going through all of those. Just soaked in the mind one and the Christian gods one. So, you know, just trying to really understand the level of programming, because this really connects it for me. The prophecies, the channelings, the biblical forecasts, all that crap, that's it, right?
You got it.
And then somebody had a great question right after mine that asked the concepts of star seed and all that, you know, same shit, right? Oh,
Same
sorry
shit.
about that.
Same
Yeah.
shit. That's the appropriate word, by the way.
Oh, thank God. Yeah. Or no, don't thank God. Oh my gosh.
It's so
you.
tangly. It's so
Oh
tangly.
my God, I'm seeing it. This is so freaking awesome. I love this. So you put it in such a way that's so pragmatic. So in your idea, you know, what were those evidences of shifts when you started to do this for you? Just like the really big ones, the ones that were hitting over 50%. What was the things that you saw?
Oh, the world just gets quiet. Oh, the putting yourself down goes away. The making yourself wrong goes away. The niggly harassing stuff just gone. It's just
Oh, wow.
quiet.
That's fantastic.
Like
That's
it used to be, I had learned that, well, I knew I could clear stuff, but if I pushed the boundaries too far, then I would kind of go off the deep end, and then I'd fall into garbage, and then I'd get overrun with stuff and blah, 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 blah. So it's like the way egregores work is if you're well honed and you stayed in your cleared space, they pretty much don't have a lot of access to you. But as soon as you step out of your cleared space and you start to explore a new topic, like, oh, I'm gonna start dating again, or I'm gonna start getting into a relationship again, or I wanna start moving forward and become a facilitator or start my own business. And if you're on purpose, if you're on target, they're gonna jump in your face and they're gonna to try to lock that down. And so I learned, if I stayed in my little cleared space, then I was pretty safe and I'd be okay, and not to go outside of that space unless I was strong.
Okay.
Now I can go anywhere and it doesn't matter, because they're not waiting for me out there. There's just nothing out there. You see the difference?
Oh, that sounds fantastic. I don't know how to raise my hand, so I figured I would just put my video on and jump in with questions. But
yeah,
thank you. Thank you for addressing it. I'm really looking forward to it. Cool.
Yay,
Thanks.
cool. Yeah, thank you. Other questions?
Jaden,
Yeah.
this is regarding the walk-in clearing as well as this one. So which one should be done first? Because I haven't done either, obviously.
I would say it depends on, by the way, the walk-in clearing is identical to this. The walk-in clearing needs the same stuff. It's the same identical process, identical. I didn't intend it to be that way, but it's just kind of fallen in. They're similar in some way. I would say it depends on what's going on in your life. If you feel really shut down and locked down, then walk-in can be the way to approach that. The downside of that is, unless you're already really quite clear and good at facilitating planet, you'll want a facilitator to work with you, because there's all these mind games that, so when you have a walk, so the tangle with walk-ins is the normal process before it got corrupted would be this. Let's say a walk-in wants to leave. This spirit is done with this body. It's like, okay, I'm done here. I'm ready to go. It puts the body up for sale, if you will. And somebody else then comes, like a house, and says, oh, I like that house. I'm going to live in that house. And so the theory is that occupant leaves, new occupant comes in, everybody's good. What has happened is that process has gotten corrupted. So what happens is as a new one is found, new owner says, okay, yeah, I want that body. As this one's ready to leave and the new one comes in, some form of interference, either God-based or alien-based, and they seem to take turns for some reason, intercedes and convinces the incoming occupant to hold on to the outgoing, and in the process inserts itself into the mix. And then the process of walk-in closes, or that window closes, and now you have the outgoing spirit that never left or didn't fully leave. It now has gotten corrupted or taken over by some egregore, and now it's inside your body with you. So if you have egregores internally messing with you, if you've ever noticed that, like, they can make your body do things that aren't like normal, like put you to sleep, or they take you out on a regular basis. Like some people have this thing of, like, every time I go to try to clear, I have a coughing fit, or I have a sneezing fit, or all this weird stuff happens in my body. That's walk-in stuff. They're egregores, but they're inside your body pretending to be a part of you, and so they have more access inside your body. If you've got a lot of weird body stuff going on and dysfunction in terms of creating, then focusing on those I would recommend first. But if your level of awareness isn't high, and if you're not already practiced at facilitating, then that would be, and not already moderately aware, it's really hard to do on yourself. Clearing walk-ins really, it's better to have a walk-in facilitator who helps you through that process. So it's not black and white. I don't have a black and white answer to your question. If things are really bad on a body level, then I would be tempted to point somebody towards a facilitator to clear the walk-in stuff first, then go back for the egregore, God, Christian, Hindu, Islam, Buddhist stuff. If that's not too much, then you might want to start here, because this you can do on your own. So I don't know if that answers your question. Helpful?
Yeah, it does. Thank you. The one other question with regards to, let's say that we do the Egregore stuff, and as you said, the slate is completely clean and there's no noise, everything is clear. There's a bit of fear in me, in the sense, where do I go from there? How do I create my life? Because I have all these.
Yeah, so that viewpoint alone shows you that you're relying on these other energies, thinking that they're helping you to move forward.
Correct.
So that's the trap. And that's one of the lies they use. Well, I'm a god. You need me to help you to create, because you can't do it on your own. That's
exactly
a lie. You, as the infinite being, are the only being who's capable of doing it. The gods are not capable. They actually can only interfere. They need you to create for them. You don't need them to create for you. They need you. You don't need them.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Read, or Destiny.
I'm noticing that there is interference inside of the body. So the Egregores in the body, but they're doing this interference through identities and through like inner children and fragment,
Yeah, that's normal. That's what they do. They'll play any game they can to tangle you. They don't care what they do. Their goal as an egregore is just to lock you down so you don't move forward. They'll do whatever. They don't care. They're not attached to a certain way of doing it.
Okay, so it
So
doesn't
they'll do anything.
scare them anyway.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's hundreds of different things they can do. And I used to catalog all those and teach people those, so that the only way I used to know how to handle these guys is by recognizing all the games that they play. And once those games don't work on you, you've kind of shut them down. They're still there, but they can't affect you because you've learned all the games they know how to play. And so they're sort of powerless in that way, but they still have access to you. This clears them out where they don't even have access to you anymore. So
Okay.
it's easier than learning all their games. That's why I used to teach people the games, and you got to pay attention to how they're messing with you, so
Yeah.
that you can learn to not be messed with in that way, and not messed with in that way, and not messed with in that way. But this is way easier and
Thank you
faster.
for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Questions? Anybody else?
I have another
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
So what about synchronicities? Like, when you see numbers and things like that, are those egregors sending messages to make it seem like you're in alignment with your life?
It can be. So
Hmm.
there's I'd say a majority of it, especially in the new age world, is exactly that. Of what they're always looking to do is they're looking to prop up their importance and make you less than. So they'll coach you to look for synchronicities. And if you watch it over time, you don't notice it in the moment, but if you watch it over time, the synchronicities that they're coaching you to is basically encouraging you to get to a space where you let go of your agenda and you follow synchronicity, right? Like the new age wants you to not do what you want, but to instead use this trail of breadcrumbs to guide you. Well, that trail of breadcrumbs is often set out by egregores who are trying to guide you towards being more in alignment with that egregore's agenda. So they often want you to get to a state where you don't have to do anything. God will handle everything for you. Like no action required. You just chill and live your life normally, like just lay low, and everything will be revealed. Everything will change. Everything will be healed. That's all the lie. It's all the lie. It doesn't work that way. It's about you doing your work and you becoming aware. Like that's where your growth comes in. You becoming aware and you stepping into more of you. So many of those synchronicities are generated by interference, or the programming behind them was generated by interference. So there's a lot of new age programming where people are like, oh, I need to always follow synchronicity. And they'll be like, oh, well, I was thinking of this person and then they showed up in my world, so I should let them into my life more. When actually that person could be very toxic for you. And your thought about them was more like, oh God, don't have them there. I don't want anything to do with them. No, I don't want to ever see that person again. And then they showed up in your life and you're using synchronicity to prove that they should be in your world. So often people use synchronicity unconsciously against themselves, which was implanted or dropped in. The thought was typically dropped in by an egregore to tangle you. So they play a long game. They'll spend years setting things up. They'll spend years setting up bogus relationships and bad relationships. And then you fall into it and boom, 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 get tangled really quickly. They don't have difficulty setting that up. So a lot of synchronicity is, I'm going to call it bogus. I'm going to call it created by egregores. Thank you, machine. Helpful?
super helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm not gonna say all synchronicity, but if you're using synchronicity to run your life, you're following a trail of breadcrumbs that you're not creating, and that may or may not be created by somebody or something that's benevolent or wants what you want. There might be is likely another agenda in there. The synchronicity that I find in my life is more subtle, and it's not prescriptive. It's more synchronicity is flow. Like there's the feeling of when you're in flow and things are working in your life. That I'm going to call authentic synchronicity. Then there's the synchronicity of, I had this thought about this thing, and then that thing appeared, and so I feel I have to go do that thing because there's a synchronicity there. That's typically interference. It's cruder, it's clunkier, it's prescriptive. So that's my thought on synchronicities. Anybody else? Anna?
Hello.
Hi.
When you asked about if we are in service to egregore thought forms, my perception was that I was not in service into any god egregore thought forms.
Right.
Do you perceive this is true for me?
I
I found that I was in service in alien egregore thought forms and mind system egregore thought forms, but not in gods. It seems somehow weird.
Right, because you don't engage gods directly. So if I said, so Truth, how much you in service to angels?
No.
How much you in service to demonics, devils, demons?
Maybe.
There's something there, yeah. How much are you in service to Satan's satanic energies?
No.
There's an energy there.
Is there?
So the other thing is the mind. So we do clearing on this because the mind will go, well, no, I'm not involved in any satanics. Well, I wasn't involved in any of that stuff either, but I still had satanic energies running around in my body, right? So it would pretend to be something else if it needed to be, but some of it is, how do I want to say it? The viewpoint that you have is a filter to your reality. So if you're like, I don't deal with gods. I've never bought the God paradigm. I'm not interested in gods, never been interested in gods. It's not a thing for me. Then
no, I thought I would have some Christian.
Yeah, no, I'm just giving kind of a concept. It's like you kind of put a filter that makes that true so you can't see where that's real. But for most people, they don't engage the gods. They're engaging angels, light beings, stuff like that. So it's the part of this is clearing the blocks to your awareness of what's true, and part of it is the actual finding the stuff and clearing it. So both of them are useful.
Are we going to work to cooperate with another person in the way of clearing this in this program, or everyone is going to do it alone?
We could actually do that if you want. We could actually get a group together or create partners if you want. Absolutely, we could do that. The how you learn it isn't important. That you learn it and can do it on your own is important. Because eventually in the cleanup phases, like I did this program, I don't know, 6 or 8 months ago, when I first started, and within the first programs here, things got really quiet. By the third program, man, my world was just super quiet. It's like, wow. And then I started to notice the more subtle things that have been under there that I never even realize because the noisier ones were making more, grabbing my attention. And I'm still clearing the really subtle ones. The most of the egregore, not egregore, corruptor egregores, which are subtle. They're very quiet. They just kind of hang out for the most part. They do very subtle things. So it's like you'll want to know how to clear on your own, but if clearing with other people is awesome. Yeah, so we
Thank you
can do
very
that
much.
as well. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. Anyone else?
One last question, Jen, from
Yeah.
me. With regards to the facilitator, how do I get access, or who do I need to talk to, or to do the facilitation for entanglement of disentangling walk-ins?
Walk-in stuff.
First. Yeah.
Shoot me an email and I'll send you some resources.
Thanks.
Yeah. On my website, there's a page for finding a certified facilitator, but at the moment there's only one person who's gone through the steps to actually become certified. So there's me and this one other person that appear to be the only ones you can choose from. There are other people who still are open, still do that, but haven't finished their certification process. So there's options.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else? Questions about egregores? Anything?
Hey, Jaden,
Mm,
Destiny.
mhm.
If we want to get in where we're like kind of doing it with a group and stuff, and the Q&A, and when should we have purchased the program?
I'd say soon.
Okay.
I'll let you guys run for a little bit. I want you to start on your own. I want you to get at least the first two programs. Where is it here? Come on, mouse. I want you to at least get the what is an egregore and one of the in-services too. So you at least get a sense of the clearing, and you've gotten some change around that. Then doing a live Q&A is more useful than if I start a Q&A early. So I'm going to wait a couple weeks. I'll do one Q&A. I'll probably wait another couple weeks, and then I'll do a live update program, which I'll do the most recent revisions to things and Q&A, and then I'll wait probably another month, and then I'll do another Q&A to catch people at the backside of it.
So try to get it at least by the end of January.
Sooner's better. I don't know how
Okay.
else to say it. I mean,
Okay, yeah.
I would say that the first Q&A, let's see, we're January. I would say the first Q&A would be the top of February, probably, but you'll want to have already done the process so you have a clue, or it's a waste of time. Right? Because if you don't know what it's about, you don't have questions to ask that are useful.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Other questions? Okay, so even if you're not interested in joining this, that matters to me how you want to do this, but do keep asking questions. And like the one person is like, wow, oh God, oh my God, like there's connections that we have that are unconscious, that like just you start listening to yourself saying the words, and you connect to God stuff way more than you think you do. It's all been programmed. It's not a huge deal, like on the grand scheme of things, just saying, oh my God, or somebody blessing you, like it's not a curse. I mean, unless you accept it, you're not actually participating in it per se. But the more you look at this concept of egregore, you start to see it tangled in everywhere, threaded in everywhere in the culture. It's like and just by being in the culture, you're subjected to that. So you don't even have to deliberately take that on or have worked with those religions. just being raised in a culture, you get some of that. Congratulations. So my invitation for you always is to be more aware. Use this and start asking more questions about egregores, about their role in governments, their manipulations. One of the things we did in the last update was, what would this world look like if there were no egregores here? If there weren't egregores corrupting politicians, if there weren't egregores corrupting businesses, if there weren't egregores corrupting religions and society as a whole. Like, you can have a religion without an egregore. Many don't, because it's the paradigm they choose to use. But it's like, what would this world be like if we didn't have all that corruption stuff under and manipulating from so many levels in so many ways? This would be a very different world, very different world. And that's what I'm up for. I'm up for a very different world that finds a way to clear and release this corruption from this planet, from this reality. So everybody is free to be them without egregore corruption or without these interferences trying to tell you what to do or not to do, get you to conform. I'm over it. So explore, play, think about this, and by all means, start hacking at stuff. I deliberately wanted to give you enough that even if you didn't join this program, you could start going after things and you could start taking things apart. If I could figure it out, you can figure it out. I'm not special. I'm just a little bit ahead of the curve. That's it. So let's go, let's change this world. And what would it take for you to step into the truth of you, to step into your gifts and capacities, your magnitude as an infinite being, to step into being a co-creator in this reality and supporting others or supporting this world, this planet, to become more? What else is possible here? Just by you showing up and me showing up and us showing up and becoming more of who we truly are. That's where I'm at. Whether you clear egregore or not, become more of you. Let's do this. Let's change this world. So thank you, everybody. If you have other questions, feel free to email me, and let's do it. Cool. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Jaden.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.